and greetings for the new year. So the Department of Finance strongly believes on the idea of investing today to harvest tomorrow. And that in fact is the idea that we focus our investment week around. So today marks the final day of the investment week, and throughout the week we've had an eventful agenda. We've had professionals and experts from finance, insurance, and banking industries come and have some active discussions on some timely topics. At the same time, we've had several launches of magazines, courses, and inter-university competitions. So by now, our undergraduates and also everyone who's been engaging with us throughout these sessions are well versed as to what the industry looks like, what to expect, and how to approach it. So as always, the finance department wants to bring something new to the table. So this year, to conclude the investment week, we've lined up a session to discuss and have a conversation on the topic of secrets to success. So a bit about the topic of secrets to success. Each one of us will have different secrets when it comes to achieving success, and how we sort of identify what our secrets are by experience and of course by observing our success stories around us. So in name of actually aiding us and helping us to identify what our unique secrets are, here with me today is an amazing individual, an exemplary replica of investing today to harvest tomorrow as well. So she's actually a very prominent woman in the industry that shaped the retail industry of Sri Lanka. She has many recognition both locally and internationally as well, being named as the Woman of the Year, as well as made it to the top 50 business people in Sri Lanka. So she is an animal lover, a philanthropist, she's a fashion icon, she's simply an all-rounder. So without further ado, may I welcome Ms. Otara Gunawardhana for our session. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Thank you. So yes, first and foremost, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and coming here. So it's the new normal now. So we actually have our audience joining with us through Facebook and YouTube.
Right.
So talking about the new normal, Ms. Otara, it's been over 2 years that we've trying to adjust, and it's actually not the new anymore as well. So how has it been for you, and what were the challenges you actually went through in the past 2 years, and what do you expect for the new year?
Yeah, I think we've all been through a lot in the last 2 years, a lot of new ways of doing things, and discovered new ways to live and to also take care of ourselves. And I think it's also brought a lot of change to us individually and as a whole. I mean, there's business-wise, I think a lot changed in the sense of, I think the most prominent thing that you see is the change in the online
Yes.
sphere. You know, so much more happening online.
Yes.
And I think that was accelerated much faster than I think it would have been normally,
Yeah.
because we were all kind of forced to do so much more online with what we buy to everything really. So I think everyone got quite used to that,
Yes.
Living with connecting more online to live our day-to-day lives. And as a result, a lot of new businesses started, a lot of new, new ways of doing things began, and a lot of people also had the opportunity to start new businesses and to do things a new way and offer new products and offer new services to people. So in that sense, I think there was a lot of opportunity. There was a lot of course, disturbance and issues for many also, because
Yes.
things change very rapidly. But I think it's also a way of moving forward with this change, which is I think going to bring in a very different world for us, with how we function and how we live, and also how we buy and in many ways,
So the coming year, you have good expectations as to everyone will keep adapting to the situation, right?
I think so. I think you
Yeah.
have to be open to change, and you have
Yes,
to be able to
definitely.
adapt. And I think those who can do that better are the ones who will really thrive and do well.
Yes.
And I think that has to do with personally as well. We can't travel. The travel is
Yes.
restricted. It's less than what we could do.
So,
So a lot of things have changed in that too.
yes, so Ms. Otara, you've actually been through a lot of change when it comes to the environment. So when you first started Odell, it was the civil war in Sri Lanka. And then in the changes to the government, to the tsunami, Easter bombings, and now COVID as well. So through it all, you still went for it. You followed your dreams, and everything is actually definitely a success, right? So when it comes to the topic today, which is success, we define it as accomplishment. For instance, I think as undergraduates would expect academic excellence to be success. And then let's say a sports person would say winning a championship is a success. So different people define success in different ways. And the way we see you, of course, is a successful businesswoman, successful entrepreneur. But what's your view on it? How do you define success? And if you can share a few points where you consider as success.
Well, success is relative
Yes.
to each person, and also it doesn't always mean doing something on a large scale or being wealthy or creating something that brings in a lot of revenue, or it doesn't mean that's not the only definition I think of success. It can also be within your homes, within people do different things that make each one successful, and I think so that I think the way it's been perceived is one way, but I think there are different ideas and options of how to say someone is successful.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's it depends really. Like for me, I don't know. I don't see it like that. But because always also when you keep doing things, you always get to a point, and then you think you want to do something else and want to do something more, and then it becomes like, okay, if I do that, then I think I'm more successful. But I think also success is improving yourself.
Definitely.
And it's not just about what you learn or study or your grades or how big your company is. Because it's also about being successful within yourself. You can have like the biggest company, you can have a lot of wealth, but you can also be very unhappy, very sad, very disturbed, very mentally unbalanced. So I think that side of is also very, very important, to be very successful in managing yourself, and to be able to handle the changes that happen, things that happen in day-to-day life, and also to be able to handle challenges that come your way. So I think that also involves being very personally successful as well, not with just what you achieve.
Very correct, Ms. Otara. So I think you've sort of been an advocate towards animal welfare for a long time, and something that we've been fighting for is the animal welfare bill. So I think that's also a point of success to have it actually proposed recently, to have that passed as well. So like you said, it's always defined in different ways. So like you were very humble enough not to point out every success that you have achieved through your life. But if I'm to point out something, so Odell was definitely one of a statement success points I believe that you achieved during your career. And Odell, the name itself reads a combination of your two names, Otara and Dell. So it will always live long. So although you're not involved with Odell anymore, you still continue your work through Otara Foundation, Embark, and also your latest venture, Who We Are. So I'd actually like to talk about the Who We Are venture, which you launched in 2020. So if I'm to give the audience a bit idea about it, so the initiative was to promote and give space to local small-scale business owners. And Ms. Otara is actually very conscious as to what is being displayed on this website as well: sustainable, eco-friendly, and cruelty-free. So from houseware, homeware, to everything, it's available. So Ms. Otara, I'm actually a very close follower of your work, and I remember back in 2019 you actually had planned a huge event for the Who We Are platform, the initiative, right?
Yeah.
And then for obvious reasons of COVID, plans changed. But when you look at who we are now, it's actually a success of its own. So if you can share your side of the story, what was it like? How you sort of changed your plan and still made it happen, you know? Yes.
Yes, I'm very impressed with all you know. And
That's great.
yeah, but it's true. And I mean, that is also actually an example of how you adapt and you change.
Yes.
Because actually it was a big event that I had planned with a lot of people, a lot of vendors and creators, with over 200-300 that we were hoping to have. Then suddenly, like 3 weeks before the event, like this started to happen, and I had to make the decision, of course, to not to abandon the idea. And then, instead of just waiting for COVID, to end, or the pandemic to end or pass, I sort of realized that the best option would be to have it online.
Okay.
And I'm of course very experienced in retail with brick and mortar, actual shops and stores, and I'm not so experienced with retail online. So for me also it was a new thing, and an area that I was not really comfortable, going into, because just automatically I'm very used to wanting a shop.
Yes.
So I had to decide that no, I don't want shops anymore. Like I want to explore the online space. So then I created the website and decided to try it, online. So I started actually during the pandemic. It's just 1 year now, so in December of 2020.
Yes.
And yeah, it's been going quite well. It's still very new, of course, and yeah, but the sales are growing, and a lot of people are getting sales. And so the main objective was to create a platform to give small businesses in Sri Lanka a wider audience, for them to be able to reach a larger market. And that was really the objective of it, because I also believe products from Sri Lanka should be more prominent and should be top of mind, and that it should be stronger. I don't think it's strong enough in Sri Lanka, and I also think we should be supporting our own businesses and small businesses, which is better for the economy, better for people, for communities. And that was really the objective. And of course, this time around, I wanted to keep it more conscious and more eco-friendly, and with no animals being harmed. And I also think that's more of the future as well, where customers will be more conscious of how we buy and how we shop. Yeah, that's really what I wanted to do.
So at the end of the day, even though you first planned a physical event, the results are actually better than you expected after.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And it's new. I mean,
Yes.
it's something new for me, and yeah, and I'm quite. It's something I've had to learn as well. So I
Yes.
think the important thing also is that you never stop learning and you never stop doing new things. And sometimes it's different to what you've been doing your whole life. But you have to be open to exploring new areas.
That's very true. I mean, it's basically how we look at the challenge and accept it, and we sort of have to work hard for it. So in the same note, I'll actually like to go to a more controversial angle when it comes to looking at success, Ms. Otara. So I'll give a small example. So if we take a person who all of a sudden becomes wealthy by winning a lottery ticket, right? So that's involves a lot of luck there, right? Or let's say in a sports event where one person, because of another competitor being disadvantaged, I get the better opportunity. So there's a lot of luck and chance that's involved, right? So, but Ms. Otara, in your career, like what is your experience when it comes to luck and chance? Do you believe that there is a role that is played, or do you think that, the hard work, the commitment, the dedication, that definitely plays a major role, a much better role?
I'm not a great believer in luck. I have never been really, but because I do believe in that, to achieve things, you have to, like even the sports person, you said, who's even coming second, who comes first, they still have to do a lot of work to even come second. So you do have to work hard. You do have to have a lot of knowledge and wisdom, and to be able to reach certain destinations and goals that you have in mind. But I do believe in destiny, and I do believe that we are all here on earth guided to lead a certain life, and we just need to make sure that we are open to that and connected to that, so that we see those opportunities and then take those opportunities, because if you're close to that, then you miss them.
Yeah.
And that's where I think then your chance or your luck is not there. So I'm more a believer of that than just being lucky, because no matter what, even to achieve whatever goal or whatever project or whatever business or whatever you want to do, it still just doesn't happen just because of your luck. You still have to work hard. You still have to make sure you do certain things to get to that place.
Yes, so I think looking at how you started Odell also, you started with the bare minimum, like the infamous story of how you started selling T-shirts, and that entire story, it shows a lot. It needs a lot of hard work and commitment. So along the way, as you built yourself, Miss Otara, so you definitely need other support. Sometimes you might not have the best contacts when you start, but along the way, you meet new people, you build that network of support. And it's definitely important, maybe your family or your friends, personal, maybe anyone, right? So if you can give us some idea as to why it's actually important to have this support around us and build that network. I think a lot of undergraduates right now in our early 20s are trying to build that network. So maybe some tips as to why it's important and how we should do it.
Yeah, I think it's very important. First thing, of course, is to have family support.
Yes.
I think that's very important. To me, it was anyway. And also, yeah, the networking and the support system usually builds while you're doing whatever you're doing. And it's important to have that to have that network, because there's always things that you can learn for one, and then also people that you can link with to help you on your journey of whatever it may be, like I said, to learn new things, to develop something, and there's always people that you can approach to be able to help you. And I think that's, you can't do anything just on your own. It's very difficult especially to grow a business. It's something you just can't do by yourself, no matter how talented you are. So I think not only do you need to have a network of good people who are with you, who support you for whatever you're doing, as well as others who you can approach or use as and when is needed for different things. And also, even though you don't know people, sometimes you can actually approach different institutions or people and try to get assistance from them as well.
Yeah, like you said, Ms. Otara, we cannot go towards success alone. It's always a journey where we have to get that support, maybe a bit of healthy competition as well. But at the same time, we can't expect to have a supportive crowd around us always, right? There's always someone who will say, no, don't do that, or what you're doing is wrong. So I think you probably have really good experience because you work around so many communities that would have different perceptions and beliefs. So if you can share us some experiences like that where you had to face negativity or some bad comments, and maybe give us some points as to how we should face them and not be demotivated by them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is you have to really believe in what you're doing. And for me, there are several areas. One is, of course, business-wise, fashion-wise, and the other one is animal advocacy and animal welfare-wise and environment-wise. So I think there's you really have to believe in yourself and believe in your vision and believe in what you want to convey to customers or to the community, or to bring the change that you believe is right for what you're doing. So if you ask me about the business, of course there's a lot of things, especially when you're working with hundreds of customers that walk through your door. There's always people, a lot of customers who would have negative comments or not like the experience or not like the products, and so that is dealing with it in a way of they say that the customer is always right. Not necessarily true, but you really have to be able to to engage with the customer and make change that whatever the negativity that has happened. And sometimes it takes a lot of compromise to do that, but it's almost always worth it. So I think in that sense, and you really have to take that extra effort to make sure the customer is convinced and happy, and that you sort out whatever the issue is. I think that's really, really important. And for me at Odell, I used to even read like all the emails. We used to have like an email address that customer could give their feedback, and I used to actually read all of them, because so that I know what the customer was saying or what was happening, so that I can correct it rather than hearing it through other people. So that's on that side. And then of course with animal welfare and with Embark, it's been it's been for me starting from places where people just don't understand what I'm doing and what I'm trying to convey or what I'm trying to do, to getting to a place of where people have now joined the whole movement, and they're doing their own work to do with dogs, to do with all other animals, to do with the environment. And all that started with a lot of resistance from people. They didn't understand why I was hugging street dogs, what I was doing with them, why I thought they needed to be looked after, why I think the cruelty that happens with elephants is wrong. That has the most, of course, the resistance, and why destroying forests is wrong. So, but eventually, if you keep communicating with your heart why you believe it's right, and it's not that it's right for me, it's right for the greater good of people, for the greater good of the country, and then people start to understand. And so I think you just need to stick with your beliefs, and you have to know that what you're communicating is for the benefit of all, for the benefit of many. It's not for the benefit of yourself. And I think that's how change happens.
So, like, definitely, it's very, very prominent, Miss Otara, that passion always drives you more towards success. And Odell, how you started it also was to raise funds for animal welfare, and then again, like you mentioned about Embark, about this, loving the street pooches, and you definitely made a huge impact. Like you said, stray dogs are something that we didn't even look at maybe like 10 years ago, but now it's fashionable and it's loving. It's something good for the animals. So actually, we were looking into. So when it comes to being passionate about something, we can definitely achieve success much faster. And by being passionate, what are the other benefits that we can receive along the way to success, Ms. Otara? Like, apart from achieving success, we will definitely enjoy the process. I'm sure you do.
I think so. I mean, I think, you asked me about success before, and I think whatever you want to be successful at, you have to be passionate. You have to be passionate about it, and you have to love what you're doing. And I think that is when great change happens. I used to absolutely love and be so passionate about growing my business, about giving customers better products, better concepts, better environment, and it really, that also helps to translate down to the people who work with you, to everyone who's following you in whatever business you're doing, or whatever whatever advocacy you're doing. And I think it's very noticeable if someone is not passionate about something they're doing, because it really doesn't make that project or that concept or whatever it is you're part of, it doesn't really bring out bring it out in great strength. And I think it's important for yourself as well to be passionate and to love what you're doing. I don't think we should live a life. Yes, sometimes we have to do things that we don't like to do or love to do or are passionate about due to certain circumstances. There may be times, but eventually we should always get to a place of really loving what we do, and really, because we have only one life here.
Yes.
And so we really need to make sure we are doing what we like to do. Even if you're working somewhere, you need to like that what you're doing or love what you're doing, because you're in that workplace for like 70% of your life. So So I think that's really important also to achieve success in whatever you wish to be successful.
So, Ms. Otara, like one thing that you're very well known for is Odell, like I mentioned before, and that was a huge success. And you've worked for a long time to bring Odell where it is today as well. And through Odell, you did had a lot of milestones. You were the first woman in Sri Lanka to have take a company listed in the Colombo Stock Exchange. Through Odell, there was so much of investment that came into the country, and you showed everyone how you can actually balance business while making a good impact, like we've been emphasizing so far. But in 2014, you actually decided to let go of Odell. So after like having worked so hard towards building Odell to where it is, what was your reason behind it? And after letting go back in 2014, how have you sort of maintained to still continue your work?
Yeah, it was a very big decision. It's one decision that I never thought I'll make. Uh, and it happened within like a year and a half or so. And I thought I wanted a change. There were a few reasons, but I thought it was at a peak, and whatever I was going to do next was going to take at least 7 to 10 years of my life, because the projects were bigger, the expansions were bigger, and it's not something I could start and leave halfway. So I thought, timing wise for my life, timing wise for the way things were, timing wise for the business, I thought it was the right decision. And I also was starting to feel, my true love and my greatest passion has always been to protect the environment and to help animals and communities with people. And I felt like I wasn't able to do a lot of that even though Embark was within Odell. I was doing very minimal with like the actual work of the animals. It was more to do with the brand, because it was part of the business. So I thought maybe it's the right time for me to go back and actually start being a voice for animals and to help them more. And it's something I just couldn't have done while I was running the business. So that's what I did. I sold, and then I used the time to for more advocacy for animal welfare, for the animal welfare bill, to try and close down the zoo, which I still think should be closed down, and many things like that. And also that we as people and as Sri Lankans, we need to be more conscious about caring more for animals, because that's when I think we will truly have a country where which is compassionate, and where we will really be more wealthy and healthy overall. Because you can't have one group which is being mistreated and another group which we are trying to constantly improve, and forget about the other group, because we're all sentient beings on Earth. And that's what I did. And then of course I focused more on Embark, because I didn't sell Embark, and I started the Otara Foundation, and then of course 4 or 5 years later, now I started Who We Are. But the rest of the time I decided to focus on animal welfare and environment protection.
So I think it's actually a big message there. Although at a point we achieve, however we define success, there's always a point that we have to let it go and maybe focus on something else and do better. And that's a very good example, Ms. Sudhara, that you're setting. So at the same time, I think after with Embark and all, I see you sort of having a good quality time with your friends, families, doing the hobbies that you wish. Like you probably are quite busy running a business, like you said. So I think another aspect we can look into is as a woman, Ms. Otara, as a woman in business, it's a great example, because I think women a lot try to sort of strike a balance between work life and personal life, right? So I think so many young women, including myself, and also in fact our universities majority are female undergraduates. So I think they'll also like to know, Ms. Otara, how is it when it comes to balancing work life with your personal life, and some tips.
Yeah, it is possible. Maybe I don't think I was as successful at it at that time. I'm much better at it now. But Yeah, because my children were also very young. Both were born when I was running the business, obviously, and so I had to raise two children as well as grow the business. But I had a very supportive family. I think it's really important to have a very supportive family, very supportive parents, and that really helped me a lot. But I think it's important. It can be done, and I think it's important, to be present in the lives of your family, in the lives of everyone in your family, and also to be able to to run the business or whatever you're doing successfully as well. So I think it's important to be conscious of it, because often you can slide to either side of being too much family oriented or too much business oriented. So you really need to be aware of maintaining the balance, and trying to spend, make sure you spend the time with your family as well as run the business. And I think in that sense also it's really important to have a good team in while running a business, because you can depend on your team as well if you take time off, or if or you're traveling. So so I think that's important too.
So yes, definitely, Ms. Otara. I think that probably throughout your career, you must have seen the change in how the generations also sort of try to strike that balance. The young girls and everyone trying to be professionally qualified and also come to a good place in their career, as well as maintain a good family life, right? So I would actually like to bring back the Who We Are platform, because the quote comes to mind. Success is best when it's shared. So one way to look at the Who We Are platform is you actually use all the brand name or the success that you've built for many years, and you help other small businesses to come up, and you sort of help them to achieve success. So why is it important that we sort of don't celebrate all of this fame or the success we have alone, and why do you think it's important that we do help others as well along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what life is about, is to help, is to improve the lives of people, and improve the lives of all beings that live with you, and to try and bring positive change to the community that you live in, or the country, or the world. And I think it's much needed in the world today, in our country today. And whatever each one can do to contribute towards that is always helpful. And I think that's what really life and business and whatever you do is all about. It's not really about yourself. It's not really about what you achieve. It's really the difference you make in the community, in the country, in society, that really matters. I think that should be the driving force of everything. I never started a business, and I never eventually, when it's a public company and all, it changes, but I never really started a business to try and earn profit for me, or to try and earn, to try and maximize my personal profit every day. It was always, how much more can I grow the business, and how much more can I help in improving retail in Sri Lanka, in improving the fashion, and improving what I can offer my customer, and everything else kind of, happens along with that. And I think that's how it should be, because I mean, to me, the focus is really not. It's not so much self. It's sort of the whole, and everyone is connected, and so so you can make great change if you think about everyone else, and not yourself always.
Yes, definitely. I think in times like this, everyone does need each other's support. And like we discussed before, it's not a journey that we make alone. Definitely need each other's support. So at the same time, talking about success, all the good times, the prosperity, there's always times of failure that we do come across. Although we don't highlight failure as a topic of the day and all, it's something that we have to go through. And, sometimes we don't get the outcome as we expect, and sometimes we have to completely abandon whatever we are doing. So, Ms. Otara, in your journey and in your career, what are certain experiences that you can share of such times that you had to face failure, and how did you face it, and what advice do you give us in terms of actually accepting it and not getting demotivated?
I don't see anything that I've had to change, anything that I've had to stop, anything I've had to let go as failure. I see it as a change that's needed to be made for the better of whatever it is that I was doing, or for my life. So I don't, and I see it as more learning experience than a than a failure or a challenge that you can't that you can't get past. So as long as you can learn from that experience and move on, I think I think it becomes a positive part of your life rather than a negative part. But of course, things happen in your life which at that moment causes a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and a lot of wondering how you're going to get past that issue. But everything is temporary, and there's always a solution to everything. So yeah, I mean, I've been through a lot of things, to do with business and personal life, business life, and it never, it's always, that's part of life. It's always something that you have to go, you have to experience all the time and keep changing and keep adapting to and keep keep meeting new challenges and being able to change them. So even, for example, at the beginning of COVID, I had like 20 Embark stores, not 20, I had about 12 or 14, and I had to make the decision that I didn't want to continue with them because I knew COVID would be like a longer period, and a lot of the stores were also in tourist areas, so I knew there would be impact on that. And so even that is like, if I didn't see it as a failure, I saw it as a decision I had to make for the for to be able to save money and to be able to do what's right for what's happening now. And then of course I moved it online, which has now turned out to be better than and the right thing to do. So what you can consider like a failure is really not so much of a failure, but something new that's starting. So I think many things like that have happened, and I think it's really how we look at things that makes a big difference. And it's also best not to be too attached to certain results and attached to certain things that you want to happen, because then when they don't happen, you get really upset. So yeah, I think take it as more as a lesson than a failure.
Everything does happen for a reason,
Yeah,
so we sort of have to see the good side of whatever happens. So along the journey, there will be the success, the failure, the good, the bad. It's always about striking the balance. So when it comes to actually talking about striking a balance with Otara, another thing is that trying to strike a balance between work and the mental and physical well-being, right? Most of the time we tend to overwork ourselves, and sort of at the end of the day we try to neglect our physical or mental well-being, right? But whenever I look at you, you're so energetic, enthusiastic, you're up for any challenge at all. So how do you keep up with all the work, and how do you take care of yourself? And I'm so sure there are many of us, the new year, new me resolutions would need some support as to how we can balance this. What do you do?
Yeah, but for me, it's always been very important to be physically fit, and to be conscious of what I eat, and to be conscious of of how I look and everything about me. And it's just been something from my very young days that I've always been conscious of and wanted to maintain. It's very easy to let those things go, but it's also very important, especially when you're doing a lot of things and when you want to achieve a lot of things. It's very important to be physically healthy, to eat right, and to be mentally balanced, well balanced as well. So in addition to what you see of the workout videos and things that I post, but I also do meditation and yoga and all that sort of, which I started only like 4 or 5 years ago, because I felt I needed to improve that side, because I felt I had neglected that side of things, and I thought that would be of benefit as well. So I think it's very important to be healthy and to be fit, because otherwise that also helps you to keep your mind to be active, and to achieve a lot more really. And it's something, and if we can't take care of ourselves, it's very difficult to take care of whatever we are a part of very well. If it's running a business or if it's doing something else, it's I believe it's if you can't take care of yourself, then it's very difficult to take care of other things also as well, as you probably can do it. So you really need to make sure you keep the time to take care of yourself and to love yourself, and to improve your self-care programs and routines as well.
So it does have a very good positive impact towards your daily
Definitely,
routines.
definitely.
Yes. So again, talking about striking the balance and have to engage in sports and all. I think as undergraduates also it's a very big thing that we sort of have to always look beyond our books. We're sort of academically focused, and we tend to neglect our physical well-being. And Ms. Otara, since small days you've been part of sports, and and now you're career oriented and all of that, right? So how important is it that undergraduates, especially, I think there are very quite audience of undergraduates, and how important is it that we not limit ourselves to what is taught in our books? I'm so sure everything is not given in our textbooks, and we sort of have to apply ourselves. So what idea and what advice do you give us there?
Yeah, I think it's very important that you don't just restrict yourself to things that you are taught and what you just learn through books only. Because there's so much more out there in the world that you need to have a wider view towards, and you need to there's so much more you can learn from other things. So you're talking to someone who was not very good in school, who failed her A-levels, and who, who was kind of last in my class all the time, except that I excelled in sports and I excelled in swimming and dance and all those things. But eventually in university I got better, and I studied more. But for me it was always important to do other things as well, not just be just day to day, just doing only what you learn through lectures, through classes, through going to different courses. I think there's so much more that you can learn and you can absorb, and it's also good for you both mentally to go beyond that. That's when you can have a whole wider view of everything that's happening in the world, everything that's happening in Sri Lanka, and everything that's available to you as resources to use. It's not just about what you're taught. And I think you become quite narrow in your outlook when you just focus only on what you're taught. And of course, with reading, there's a lot more reading that is of great benefit, which is outside what you get in classrooms as well, which is good. But there are so many other things as well, and a lot of it can even be like physical activities, even like camping trips, or whatever it may be. There's still so much you can absorb and learn from doing things beyond your books as well.
Definitely. I think we sort of can identify our own hidden talents sometimes. Those things don't come out. We sort of have to experience ourselves. So at the same time, sometimes one may think, I don't have the potential to do this or achieve this or be like her. That sort of attitude might be there. So it's important that we sort of have manifest that idea of we can do this, we can achieve it, right? And what are different ways that Ms. Otara, you would suggest that someone who wants to come to that position, believe in themselves, what advice would you give?
Yeah, I think you have to have the strength within to really believe in yourself and believe in whatever you want to do. And also, there's always voices, and there are always people around you that tell you, that you can't do it, or you're doing it wrong, or you should be doing it different, or and it's always fine to listen to input and what others are saying. It's always, you can learn from that, but you need to know, and you need to be strong within yourself of what you want to achieve, what you want to be, because everybody is not you. You're unique, and you're your own self, and other people can't tell you who you should be. And I think you just need to be authentic with who you are, and know what you can achieve, what you want to what you want to do. And it doesn't always mean that you, like, everyone has to do something on a large scale or something big. people can do small things even and make great impact, or not too much also, it's perfectly fine. You don't have to be everyone doesn't have to drive towards one direction in life. And So I think it's really important to know it's really important to know who you are, and not, especially in the world today with so much social media and so much stuff coming from all that side, which we didn't really have. I didn't really have when I was growing up. Um, the youth get very distracted with who they think they should be or who they want to follow and be like someone else. Or it's quite a new challenge that's come up that people have to deal with. So in that whole sort of that whole sort of system of where you are constantly being shown what you should be doing, or or who you should be like, it's very important to know who you are and to be who you are.
Okay, so like talking about social media, Ms. Otara, like yes, definitely a lot of the youngsters, including myself, we are quite influenced by what we're told to be like, how we're supposed to be like. But recently, actually, I want to talk about the 100 Days of Gratitude movement that you shared, started recently, where each day we say something that we're grateful for. What was the idea behind this movement on social media?
Um, Actually, I don't know. I just started to do that because it helps you as well. But it's very important to be grateful and be thankful for what you have, whatever it may be, and for little things as well. Not just wait always for the bigger things to happen. And I think that's also how you move, more positively forward in life, and you can achieve more and you can do more. Is by being very thankful and very grateful for things in your life, for things in other people's lives, and also very simple small things. So I think it's also an important reminder to think each day, because we often don't, like, we wake up and we're always thinking of what we need to do, what we need to achieve, what we need to buy, what we need to get, and we don't really spend the time being very thankful or grateful for what we have, or and it's really not the big things, it's the very little things that are more important. And I think it's a practice that we have to incorporate in our lives, and to be more grateful and to be more thankful.
Yes, so I think that's actually very important for us to identify what we already have without not crying out what we don't have, right? To be grateful and work with what we've got. So I think during this entire session, the topic for today was secrets to success, and I was trying to sort of ask Miss Otara indirectly what your secrets are, and I hope that the audience by now actually has some idea, some hints and clues as to what Miss Otara's secrets to success are. But actually, as the final question, Miss Otara, I'd like to directly ask you, what are your secrets to success? And I mean, if there's something you can spare us, or maybe some general advice to the undergraduates.
Yeah, so I don't have a 10 or 20 step guide on what each one should do, because each one is different, and what each one of us wants to do is different, and each one of us is different physically and mentally as well, and as individuals, of course. But I mean, I don't know. For me, it's probably been really loving what I do, being passionate about what I do, and really wanting to make a difference, to a larger number of people in the community and the country. And I think making a difference for the greater good of all is really what is really what makes the biggest difference, I think. And I think if you look at what people have done to really create a lot of change, it is really to bring change to a large community, a larger number of people and community and animals or environment or whatever it may be. So I think doing things for the greater good of all is really probably the secret of being sort of of being noticed, to a greater number of people.
Definitely, like at the beginning of the session as well, I mentioned that everyone would have unique secrets to success, and it all depends on how we realize it, and it takes time. So I think, so thank you so much, Ms. Otara, for that last advice. I thought I put you in a pressurized position, but guess it was all right. And I think the organizers of the investment week actually made a really good choice having you here today. As the humble personality and amazing advocate you are, it was a very good session, I would say, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation as well, Ms. Otara. And behalf of the department, I'll actually like to thank you for accepting our invitation and coming here. So